guiding you once again into the realms of the unexplained. Our guest tonight is a man named Ethan, a dedicated listener and an amateur wildlife enthusiast who found much more than he bargained for on a trail cam behind his own house. Surrounded by woods and the tranquility they offer, Ethan's backyard was the perfect setting for observing nature's hidden wonders. That was until he started hearing strange clicking noises echoing through the silence of the night. Ethan joins us tonight, bringing with him a tale that's both unnerving and compelling. The creature he captured isn't your everyday wildlife. Known among enthusiasts of the unexplained as a crawler, this creature is described as being between 4 to 7 feet tall, with a pallid, gaunt appearance that is eerily humanoid. Its method of movement is the source of its name, crawling with a nimble speed that chills the blood. Its face is dominated by large, inky black eyes, a gaping mouth, and a conspicuous lack of a nose. But perhaps the most unsettling detail, these creatures are reported to emit a strange clicking sound. Tonight, Ethan's going to share with us his extraordinary experience, the strange events leading up to the encounter, and the captivating evidence he caught on his trail cam. So sit back, take a deep breath, and prepare yourself for another journey into the realm of the unknown. Before we get further into that remarkable trail cam footage and the strange noises, let's give our listeners a better sense of who you are. Please share with us where you're from, how long you've been living at your current residence. Give us a bit of your background. What's your day-to-day like?
Thanks, Donovan. I was born and raised here in Oregon. I've lived in this house for about 7 years now. I used to live in the city, and I work in the city. I'm an auto mechanic during the day. And, so I'm around noise a lot, engines, just the city noise and stuff like that. And after a while, it starts getting to, being around the noise. So I decided, well, I'm going to move out to this house. It's at the edge of the Deschutes National Forest. It's super quiet. I've got some neighbors around me, but nobody like real close. But it's very peaceful. It's a great place to be, to kind of escape the week, on the weekends. I love just going hiking and biking and doing all those kind of things, just being out in nature.
I'd like to know a bit more about the lead up to this event. When did you first start noticing these strange clicking sounds? And prior to that, had there been any unusual occurrences or activities in your house or the surrounding area that you felt were out of the ordinary?
Well, like I said, I've lived in this house for 7 years now, and the first time, or my first encounter with this, happened about 5 years after I started living there. I'm used to sounds. I got used to the sounds of the forest, hearing fox out there or other, birds, or other just kind of the animals that live in the forest. Definitely, occasional raccoon digging around in your trash outside, things like that. So not, I got kind of used to those types of sounds. I don't know, I heard some kind of strange clicking sound one night, and my neighbor's dog, my neighbor doesn't live too far away from me, but just far enough, but my neighbor's dog was going crazy. And that sort of kind of sent up a red flag for me, because I usually don't hear the dog going crazy, but for some reason there was just something off-putting about the sound. I started hearing it out there, kind of a weird clicking sound. I don't even know how to describe it. I thought, maybe this is some sort of animal noise, new animal noise I'm not aware of. Animals make weird sounds during mating season and things like that, so you just never know. And of course, living in the city for so long, I am just not aware of all the sounds that come from a forest. So this was something really weird. It kept happening on and off for a month or two, and it just kind of heightened, and it sounded like it was getting closer. And I would occasionally go outside, walk around in the dark with the flashlight, kind of looking. Maybe I would see something, kind of startle it and it would take off or whatever. That was my thinking. And whenever I would go outside, though, it got really quiet and the noise stopped. So, you go back inside, you settle in, you're watching something, and then you're or you're just sitting there at the kitchen table, windows open or whatever, and you hear it again outside, and it's like kind of close, like kind of eerie close. So I was thinking, okay, I need to figure out how to see what's going on out there, and I had read about trail cams, and I was thinking, maybe I'll get one of those. I'll just buy kind of like a cheap trail cam or whatever, and I can set it up outside and let it go and see if it captures anything. So I got a trail cam, I put it on a tripod, and kind of set it up underneath this tree out in my backyard, and thinking, well, I'll catch deer or whatever it is out there. I'm sure there's something out there that'll set my mind at ease once I see it, and I'll kind of have a laugh, not spooking myself out here. But that's when, of course, everything kind of changed after I set up that trail cam.
The unknown can be both intriguing and unnerving, especially when it's happening in your own backyard. So, after you set up this trail cam, how long did it take before you captured something on film? Can you describe that moment when you first saw the footage? What you thought and felt when you realized what you'd captured wasn't a fox or a raccoon?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a fox or a raccoon, I'll tell you that. I think at first, when I was watching the footage, I thought, oh, maybe it's like a sick animal or something, because there's wasn't like furry. It actually looked like it was missing hair. It looked almost like it was more like just skin than anything real kind of gaunt and skeletal, I guess that's the best way to say it. But, it was skinny and weird and a little misshapen. The shape of the head didn't kind of fit with anything else I had seen animal-wise, like something like a dog, or like it didn't have like a snout or anything like that. So that's what made me think this is something else entirely. So that's when I really just kind of started digging in and watching the footage over and over and thinking, I got something weird or unique here. I need to figure out what this is.
That must have been a shocking realization, Ethan. There's a big difference between an unidentified noise in the night and seeing an unexplainable creature in your own backyard. It's a lot to process. So, after this moment, what did you do? Did you try to capture more footage, or did you attempt to contact someone about what you'd seen? Did the behaviors of this creature change after it appeared on camera?
Well, I actually sat on the footage for a little while. You see something like this, and you're trying to process it, and you just kind of keep going over it in your head. You hear stories about people who've seen strange things, creatures or otherworldly type of things, and you listen to their stories, and you kind of think, what would I do if that happened to me? You don't ever think it's going to, or at least I didn't. And then when it does, you just stop. I mean, I froze. I wasn't even really sure who I would talk to about this. I mean, I have, some close friends, thinking, maybe I could talk to one of them. I mean, I definitely didn't think I could go to, like, the police. What are they going to do, Probably besides, like, shoot me away. So I thought, maybe I'll put the trail cam out again, maybe if I get more footage of it, if it keeps coming around, I'll just have more proof, I guess. So I kept putting the trail cam out, and I wasn't getting anything. It's almost, I even hate to say it, or it sounds weird to say, but I feel like it almost knew that I was trying to capture it, like get it, more footage of it or something. I know that sounds strange to say, but I got nothing. I mean, I just got trees and bushes and stuff for months. And, but but I did hear the sound, and I did hear it close to my house, and then it was away, and then I would hear like the sound again, but in a different area of my yard, almost like an echo of the sound, or almost like, maybe two of them, which would be really, really creepy to think about. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of sat on it for a while, and I thought, I got to talk to somebody. So who am I going to talk to?
That's definitely an eerie thought. The notion of such a creature knowing it's being watched, or worse, there being more than one, that's got to be a bit unnerving, Ethan. Living with the constant reminder that you're not alone in these woods. After all, our homes are supposed to be our safe havens. I can't help but wonder, have you taken any additional security measures since this started happening?
I installed some motion detector lights and even installed one motion detector alarm. But, you kind of find out that that's mostly triggered by something human size or, weight or something like that.
Have there been instances where the alarms were triggered? And if so, what followed?
The only time that I experienced something was the lights kept going on. So I just sort of ran outside real quick to see if I could catch anything, but nothing really. It just could have been another, could have been a deer, bucks, whatever, just sensing. So even a cat could have tripped it. So I wasn't really getting much from that.
Okay, Ethan, it's the moment we all have been waiting for. Let's get to the trail cam footage. I'm going to play this for the audience, and I want you to walk us through what is happening.
Well, if you see, it looks like it's sort of camouflaged in the trees there, and then you can see the large black dots or eyes, and then it looks like it's sort of, its mouth's moving or something, almost like maybe that's what's making the noises or doing something strange. But it then takes off really quick, like something scared it. But that I just kept watching that over and over again, thinking, what am I watching? You can see how gaunt it is, how, like I said before, like it has no hair. It's just weird looking, and it moves really fast, which, I guess most animals probably do move fast or whatever, but that's the part that kind of threw me off too, was just the speed of which it took off. But yeah, that's the footage.
Wow, Ethan, that was pretty intense. Thanks for sharing that with us. I think everyone listening will agree when I say that your story is one that sticks with us. A chilling reminder of the strange and unknown creatures that may exist just beyond our sight. The intelligence you ascribe to this creature adds an extra layer of unease and intrigue, and the trail cam footage is just shocking. Despite the fear and uncertainty, I want to commend your courage in facing this situation head on and taking steps to protect your home. And of course, sharing this account with us so we can continue to piece together the puzzle of what these creatures might be.
Thank you, Donovan. I really appreciate you having me on the show and listening to my story. I know it's if there's other people out there who have this same kind of situation happen to them, that it can be, rather frightening to talk about. Obviously afraid of any ridicule or anything that you may get, but it's actually a bit of a relief to talk about it to someone who's, open-minded, because not everybody is so open-minded to these types of things. So I do appreciate it. Thank you again.
It's clear from your story and countless others that there is so much more to our world than what meets the eye. There are mysteries lurking in the woods, are dedicated to exploring. As we conclude today's episode, I want to remind everyone listening to stay safe, stay curious, and keep an open mind. We may not have all the answers, but every story, every piece of evidence, brings us a step closer to understanding. Thank you, Ethan, for joining us today and sharing your experiences. To our listeners at home or wherever you may be, We'll be back with more stories that dwell on the edge of our understanding. Until then, this is Donovan signing off. Good night, everyone.